Good evening, everybody. This is Danny Thompson with the BuzzCity postgame show for game number 12 of the Charlotte Hornets season tonight. I'm your host, Danny Thompson, senior NBA writer for the 3pointconversion.com, covering the Charlotte Hornets. And tonight, the Charlotte Hornets did not exactly start their nice little 3 games to 4 nights off with a rough start tonight. A game where they just couldn't get shots going early on, and the Dallas Mavericks are kind of like the Dallas Mavericks. 104-93 was the score tonight for the Dallas Mavericks, taking care of the Charlotte Hornets at Time Warner Cable Arena or Spectrum Center, depending on where you call it. Like I said, ways to follow the show. Download the Happs TV app, as you see on top of there as well too. Check out the Happs app. Like I said, it's one of the best apps you're going to find outstanding journalists all over the United States and across the world. Also, it offers free world-class broadcasting tools to a community eager and willing to be able to support their viewers and creators financially. Also, subscribe to you see in the corner, happstv.com/Danny Thompson as well. Also, if you'd like to subscribe, please do. I do take all subscriptions as well too. And if you're in the chat, please, by all means, let me know you're in the building. As my girl Precious Sherrod from Virginia Beach says the word hello. All right, so guys, ladies, tonight Charlotte does not exactly have the game that you wanted them to expect tonight. Listen, they started coming in tonight with a 4-game winning streak. Hornets fans, it's the first time they had been over 500 in about almost 2 full years. They came into the Dallas game tonight. Dallas down 5 players due to COVID. A game that got canceled literally on Monday night against the New Orleans Pelicans. They didn't have all their guys traveling, and they missed some key guys off their team tonight. 3 of their best defensive players, and Josh Richardson, Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, were not in the lineup tonight, not even available for the team tonight. And that meant that the returning Kristaps Porzingis was back in the lineup, as well as you saw guys like Wes Iwundu getting his first start at camp. I don't think he even started while he was in Orlando, or I couldn't remember. But he started tonight for the Dallas Mavericks. And Charlotte, really, it was a game tonight where it just wasn't their night. They started off the game extremely slow. They couldn't hit shots early, and that's something that Charlotte has had to deal with a lot this season. And we've seen this on a regular basis, and it reared its ugly head again tonight. Charlotte scored 16 points. Like I said, one of the NBA's worst scoring teams in the first quarter, just could not get it done offensively. When I say offensively, it was just bad. They couldn't hit shots. They were missing from everywhere all over the court, and they got good looks. It wasn't like Charlotte wasn't getting good looks, but what they did not do was they did not go into the paint. They did not do anything in the paint early on. They were settling for shots outside of the paint. Charlotte was 6-24 for the first quarter, but really this was all about what they did early on in the game. Charlotte ended up with 93 points, which is their tie for the lowest scoring total of the entire season as well. It wasn't a pretty game, but let's say back to the first quarter. The issue was Kristaps Porzingis and Willie Cauley-Stein was just too long. Hornets fans, this is going to be a game where Hornets fans will say, well, we're back to normal. We're back to, we need a big, we need a big, we need a big, we need a big. And that's what happens. Like I said, I appreciate Precious, the Bless Up Award. Like I said, if you're on the Happs app, like I said, Brian, appreciate the Got Talent. Like I said, donate. Like I said, we're trying to get to the goal as you see there. Also, at the same time, subscribe as well too. Brian's also one of the wonderful folks on Happs. I think he's got something with the Ravens because they're still in the playoffs, and that'll be later on this weekend. But back to the Hornets. Willie Cauley-Stein and Kristaps Porzingis, they changed the game defensively inside. What they do is that the fact that they're so long. Charlotte, we all know, is a team that just runs small ball. PJ Washington's your 5, 4 most times, with Bismack Biyombo being the 5, and they really don't go lengthwise into the rotation off the bench. Because if you look at the Hornets rotation when it comes to size, you're looking at the next player after Bismack Biyombo is LaMelo Ball on the height range. Okay, it just wasn't. When Dallas is on the floor, they're so long, and we saw the first game they played, and Luka Doncic couldn't hit water in the first game. Well, in this game tonight, Luka Doncic hit more than water. Luka was just basically running through Charlotte like a bad traffic jam. He was getting to the paint. He was getting to the lane. He went 5 of 9 in the first quarter, hit his usual step back 3-pointer. But if you look at his baskets, 3 of the 5 baskets were at the rim. He was driving. He was kicking. He was doing a lot of the things that Luka Doncic does. He did not do in the first game. On top of what he was doing was he was grabbing rebounds, getting on the fast break. He was getting his teammates involved, getting rebounds, and he facilitated the Dallas offense. Like I said, Dallas, who did not have all their weapons. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. was in the game, but out of your main scoring weapons, Josh Richardson was not available. Dorian Finney-Smith contributes. Maxi Kleber is another guy that can stretch the floor. But having Luka next to Porzingis is a totally different team. Porzingis came out, and in the first quarter, both his baskets were from deep. Long three-pointers. Now, it's already hard enough to guard Kristaps Porzingis, okay? But when Kristaps Porzingis is out there lighting up three-pointers at 7'3" from 25 feet out, and you don't have the length to go against it, you're not. It's just. You would think that Porzingis had not missed any time. Porzingis hadn't even played a single game, and he had been practicing for the last week or so. It was Porzingis' length, shooting a three-pointer, and Luka running the pick and roll. Like I said, this is a completely different team. There's a reason why Dallas was literally seconds away from literally eliminating the Clippers last year because of the idea of pick and roll with the Porzingis and Luka Doncic. So Charlotte, when you don't hit shots, you get off to a slow start. 6-24 was the pace, and I don't care who was on the court. It just wasn't working. Charlotte couldn't get anything going all night, and it really just led to it and fed to it. Charlotte was down 32-16 at the end of the first quarter, and you knew that at some point Charlotte was going to come back or make this game close, but it just wasn't their night. The good news for Hornets fans is the fact that they outscored the Mavericks in the final three quarters. The bad news was it was too much too late. The biggest part of the game was a stretch where Charlotte had tied the game. They were outscored 29-13, and then they were down 16, 18. They were down 18 a couple times in the second quarter. And then Charlotte fought back. In typical Hornets fashion, they fought back. And when they fight back, they get the lead to right around 10. And what normally happens when you get to right around 10, they can't seem to hit shots. And when they can't seem to hit shots, it just goes bad at that moment. And big shouts to my main man. Rated Blitz is back in the building. Rated, what's going on? One of the good people to follow on Twitter. He's going to ask about when is Coach going to learn or what goes through James Borrego's mind. I will talk about what Coach said after the game tonight. Big shout out to my main man Jamal Darby up in the chat. Check out their show Under Construction Sunday afternoons. I was just on there talking Hornets and Deshaun Watson. Check out their show on YouTube. Outstanding group of guys and follow. Mike Patton just said it best. Some nights you don't have it. I mean, this was arguably the worst offensive game they've had since the Memphis game this season. I think this might be the worst one they had. Like I said, the Hornets got the lead down, but the real question for Hornets fans was third quarter. Charlotte was getting blown out at this point, but what happened was there was an injury to Gordon Hayward, and that's the question Hornets fans are going to ask about Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward left the game with a hip injury, and with the hip injury, the good news is, and speaking to Coach Borrego about maybe 15-20 minutes ago, he did inform all of us that it's day-to-day. He will travel with the team to Tampa for the next the 2-game series that starts tomorrow night in Tampa. We don't know if he's going to be able to go. He did not return, and really there wasn't much more than that. The good news, like I said, is nothing major. It's just a hip injury. Like I said, with day-to-day, potentially he's available tomorrow. I don't think he plays tomorrow. I think we'll see him more likely on Saturday. It's a back-to-back. They do get a full day in Tampa on Friday, and they do it that way. Jamal Darby in the chat. LaMelo Ball starting doesn't change the outcome of this game. No. And even LaMelo didn't even have it tonight. LaMelo didn't have it tonight. His numbers, he struggled from the floor tonight, 2 of 8. He had 4 points. Really the only guy that was consistent on the offensive end tonight who actually had probably the best game on the court. Terry had the 18 points to lead the team. PJ probably had the best effort tonight. He had 16 points, 10 rebounds, and career high 6 assists. I think he's the guy I'm going to probably give the game ball to tonight. But tonight, it just wasn't their night. The bench, I think, had 2 field goals through 3 quarters. They couldn't do anything. You give Dallas a lot of credit, even though most of their guys weren't playing. The fact that Porzingis just changes the game immensely. Third quarter, like I said, Charlotte got the lead down to 9. What's that 10-point mark again? They got the lead down, and then Charlotte got outscored. They were down by 25 at the end of the third quarter. And at that point, they were just really dunk city, and the whole point was trying to keep Luka Doncic away from a triple double, which he did fall 1 assist short of a triple double. Doncic was everywhere, but you know what? But those who've watched the NBA long enough, they know how good Luka Doncic is. 34 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, and actually 4 blocks. What the telling stat was tonight, Dallas had 10 blocks in the game tonight. They just literally was flying all over the court. Porzingis just changes games. Willie Cauley-Stein looked like the player that was just rim running, blocking shots at the rim. I think he had both his baskets were dunks, but he had 14 rebounds. He had 3 blocks. He was everywhere. James Johnson, another guy that normally doesn't get a lot of running time. He was very good defensively. And if you look at Dallas's main unit, they all played well. Charlotte they struggled. I mean, they missed 28 3-pointers tonight, and they shot 38% from the floor. You really couldn't do much about it. WAP on Twitter saying that we couldn't stop Luka. That's pretty much what it is. But it was, because Luka Doncic is so good that it wasn't going to happen 2 games in a row. Okay, it was even what happened with Trae Young was something you rarely see. Stopping Luka in back-to-back games like that, twice in one season is difficult enough. On top of that, you got Kristaps Porzingis, which changes the game as well, too. Give Dallas a lot of credit behind the three-point line. They literally were just nailing three-pointers. They hit 15 of them tonight. Dallas didn't shoot the ball well, but Charlotte didn't help themselves either. Like I said, Hornets led tonight by 18 points from Terry Rozier, 16 from PJ, 16 from Hayward before he left the game with the hip injury. Devontae had 12 points and 7 rebounds, 7 assists for Charlotte. Another 7-assist game for Devontae Graham. He now leads the team, as well. All right, let's go to the questions of the chat. All right, so of course, Blitz is always in the chat. He mentioned that Melo's not an off-ball corner sitter. That's his game. Listen, it didn't matter if Melo was running the floor. It didn't matter what Melo was doing. Melo just didn't play well. It's just he just didn't play well. He's a rookie. Okay, he's not going to have those types of games every single night. Guys have those type of nights. No matter what unit James Borrego put on the court tonight, you weren't going to be able to stop 6 of 24. If LaMelo started, LaMelo came off the bench, LaMelo could have played center in this game. Nothing would have changed. The fact of Charlotte took too many shots from the perimeter and tried to work outside in. Because of the length of the Dallas Mavericks, it was difficult. You're looking at Boban Marjanovic, you're looking at Porzingis, you're looking at Willie Cauley-Stein. That's so much length on the court between those guys. And James Johnson is super athletic. You look at Wes Iwundu, they had guys who were just extremely long. And Charlotte, it happens. When you play small ball, those nights happen. If you look at the rebound total, Charlotte did well rebounding-wise. It wasn't as bad as it has been rebounding wise. Charlotte did get out rebounded 41-38, so it wasn't too bad on the boards. I'm sorry, it was 54-53, so it wasn't too bad on the rebound because they didn't get beat up on the boards tonight. The free throw attempts were right around normal, and Charlotte didn't turn the ball over as much in the second half. They finished the game with 11 turnovers, but just really tonight was all about what the Dallas Mavericks were able to accomplish in that first quarter. Because if you take the first quarter away, Charlotte played one of those games. They actually missed 5 players tonight. It was only 5 players on the injured list. Was it Finney-Smith, Brunson? They had out Maxi Kleber. They had Josh Richardson out and Dwight Powell. They're all the 5 that were out. Facebook user says, Melo has impressed me. Thought he would be a better shooter. I don't know. LaMelo Ball was never a shooter. He never was. His playmaking skills are out of this world, but he's not a shooter. He's never been one. He's very, very extremely streaky. I think that runs in the entire Ball family. He's a streaky shooter. He's going to get better with time. It's just that he's got to get better at it. It's just going to take time. Blitz says James Borrego needs to go. I don't know if I want to even address that. James Borrego is just fine. We all have, because when the Hornets were winning 4 games in a row, fans were not complaining. The Hornets lose tonight. Now people want to say, well, it's time to get rid of them. Guys don't fake injuries nowadays and request trades. It's only 9, 10, 12 games. I'm not even going to address that. All right. So what do we miss in tonight's game? So the game balls. Let's start game balls tonight. Well, in a game like this tonight, you look at what Charlotte did tonight, it wasn't, like I said, their best effort tonight. They didn't really say much. And even talking to PJ and talking to Terry after the game, you can tell they were not happy with the way the game was played tonight. And to be honest, they shouldn't be happy. They did not do what they were supposed to at the beginning of the game. And even James Borrego said afterwards that they did better in the second half when it came to attacking the rim, and they didn't do it in the first half, settling shots. And the good news with tonight's game is that the fact that we did get a chance to see some of the guys we have not seen play very much at all. Jalen McDaniels, who's been out of the rotation, got a chance to get in the game tonight. Malik Monk got in the game tonight. Vernon Carey got in the game tonight. So we did see those guys get some kind of court time. Now, the real question for Hornets fans is, if Gordon Hayward is out tomorrow, who jumps into the rotation? Well, let's figure out who jumps in the rotation. So if you look at the Hornets and the way they played minutes, if Hayward is out, I would expect Cody Martin to be in the lineup tomorrow. More likely because of the fact that Toronto does have they have OG Anunoby, who's super athletic and a very good defender, and you have Pascal Siakam, so you probably want to have defense on the court in the game tomorrow night. So I think the guy that will get rotation minutes, Hornets fans, I think Malik Monk will have a chance to get minutes if Hayward is unavailable to go tomorrow night. I think that some of those minutes will be distributed between here and there. The question is about Devontae Graham and his minutes. Why is Graham played 35 minutes and Melo played 25 minutes? Well, let's keep it honest here. LaMelo just didn't have a good game tonight. Those type of games happen. Devontae actually did have 7 assists tonight. Okay. And 7 assists with only 1 turnover. So what I mentioned on 3pointconversion.com about the assist ratio, if you check out the article I wrote about the efficiency of the Hornets when it comes to assists this season, because going into the game, they were the NBA's leader in assists, almost 29 assists a game. Devontae Graham leads this team in assists. All right. This is not some guy that he's not a guy that doesn't pass the ball. He did average 7 assists a game last year. He is a guy that does, he does multiple things. If the shot's not falling, it's okay. He does other things. And if you look at his numbers tonight, he was 5 of 14 from the floor. Graham shot 38% from the floor last season. So 5 of 14, 5 of 13 is right about when he shoots on a regular basis. Melo tonight, I mean, he was 2 for 8. Okay, he did not play very well defensively. Let's take a look. I mean, this is the first game he didn't have any steals. He kind of lost out there. And even with the 7 rebounds tonight, which all were 7 were defensive, a negative 15 tonight. I mean, that's just a combination of team defense, but it just wasn't his night. And it happens those nights. I think Graham was a better player tonight than what you call was. It's easier to have better assist ratio when he's running time with the starters. No, that's not necessarily true, because if you look at LaMelo Ball, he's averaging over 6 assists a game coming off the bench. So it's not really about the starters he's playing with. And to be honest with you, it's really about who is on the floor with him. Everybody knows when LaMelo Ball is on the court and Miles Bridges on the court, that's easy assist right there because LaMelo has the court vision to do it. So no, I don't think it's an easier assist ratio when you're having time with the starters. It's the fact that Devontae Graham is a playmaker. He does do more than shoot the basketball. It's enough, and you can look at the film, doesn't lie. And yeah, Devontae Graham's not a terrible basketball player. It's not. I mean, when you're a 38% shooter from the floor, 5 of 13 is not a bad night, neither is 5 of 14. What's really bad was the fact of the bench, with the exception of Cody Martin. You had Miles Bridges at 2 for 9. You had Caleb Martin at 3 for 9, and you had LaMelo Ball at 2 for 8. The main guys that have been scoring off the bench just didn't get it done off the bench tonight. Give Dallas a lot of credit on the perimeter. The shots weren't falling. It is what it is. Charlotte's job needs to get on that plane, because that's what they did, and fly down. It is. Charlotte might be Ethan on Twitter saying Charlotte may be 6-6, but it won't last with 2 starting guards under 6'2". Okay, I mean, at this point, this is where the team lies. Makes sense. If you go on the 3pointconversion.com, if you go to YouTube Live, I actually asked Coach Borrego about bringing LaMelo off the bench and the thought process behind it, and he gave an extensive answer about it. Back on Twitter, Melo's a top 3 pick. It doesn't matter about where you're drafted at. Anthony Edwards is not starting. Okay, so Anthony Edwards is the top overall pick of the draft, and he's not starting. It's not about where you were drafted. Charlotte had two guards that averaged almost 37 points a game returning. It is what it is. You have to earn your minutes, and he plays well. No players get trapped. Yeah, Brady, I just mentioned Anthony Edwards doesn't start, and guess what? He leads all rookies in scoring. The Hornets aren't losing LaMelo Ball. Okay, I'm not going to go there with that. Ethan in the chat saying let Grant come off the bench should be a scorer and be a spark. That's great, but this is not the time to do it. Charlotte's won 4 of their last 5 games. Why would you change this lineup right now? It's not like Charlotte is 2-8 and going back to the lottery. Charlotte's at 500. There's no reason to ring the alarm at this point. If Charlotte just goes down to Tampa and gets destroyed this weekend, then maybe you have the conversation, but no. Hey, Blitz, here's a question. Yeah, they got the 3rd pick. Do you understand they jumped a bunch of other teams to get to the 3rd pick? How about that one? They had more wins than the Washington Wizards last season as well, too. And the Wizards were in the bubble. So they weren't the worst team in the NBA. They weren't the 3rd worst team in the NBA. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I think Charlotte would have been 8th or 9th worst in the NBA. So no, they just got lucky with the ping pong balls. The ping pong balls struck the way the Hornets. It was about time. All right, so tomorrow night's game is the Toronto Raptors, the struggling Toronto Raptors down in Tampa. No fans. It is what it is. Ethan, of course, it's always love. I appreciate you stopping through. Also, subscribe to the Happs channel so you can know when I go live on a regular basis. I do appreciate the love. And as always, with the great conversation as well. This is all Hornets. 25 wins is pretty terrible. The team won 23 last year. Anything over 23 is an improvement. No one expected Charlotte to go out and win 50 games this year. No one's expecting that. And if they win 50 games, it would be James Borrego's the coach of the year at this point. This is not a 50-win team. The most important thing is about moving this team in the right direction. Even though you spent $120 million on Gordon Hayward, it's a reason why you spent $120 million. As everybody knows in the NBA, it is hard for smaller market teams to attract big-time players. And when you are able to attract a big-time player, you're going to have to overpay them. That's why in some cases, some reports said that they pay about $25 million more than what Indiana and what New York was going to offer Hayward. It happens. Small market teams have to do it. Go back to Orlando with Rashard Lewis when they overpaid him $126 million, but that Magic team got to the finals. He was the final piece of the puzzle. Charlotte was never expected to be a team that's going to contend with Brooklyn and Milwaukee at the beginning of the season. If this team in an 82-game season would have gotten to 35 wins, that's a 12-win improvement over last year. And the most important thing for the Hornets is it's getting to that point where you're in the top 10 this year. This is a different type of year in the NBA because of the play-in game with now 2 additional teams, additional team in each conference getting in. So now the 10th seeded team has a chance to make the playoffs. Charlotte is at that point where you can get to 9-10. And if you get to 9-10, all you have to do is win 1 or 2 games and you're in the playoffs. And that's what it is. LaMelo Ball brings the attention. People see LaMelo Ball. They get on a national stage, and who knows? Maybe this team gets into the playoffs. And if they do, then with a cap space you have next summer, you build upon that. It's not time to microwave this process. Second off, throwing Devontae Graham under the bus or make him feel like, putting him back down in the rotation, that's not it. Devontae put in work last year, and I think he has the equity to keep the minutes he has. He's not playing bad. He might not be shooting the way that people want him to shoot, but just remember, you go look at numbers and go look how many nights that he struggled from the floor, but it didn't matter because LaMelo Ball wasn't breathing down his throat. It's a different thing. I think LaMelo Ball will be the starting point guard. Just give it time. You're not at a point now where you have to rush this kid in the starting lineup. And even and Borrego said it today. It's a process. Okay, he's averaging minutes. He's right around 26 minutes a game, which is second most per game among rookies that play consistent minutes in the NBA. The only rookie averaging more is Tyrese Halliburton in Sacramento. And why is Halliburton playing so many minutes now? It's because De'Aaron Fox is hurt. Because he was playing right around 24, 25 minutes a game before De'Aaron Fox got hurt. So just give it time. No, like I said, we're only 12 games into the season, and Charlotte is actually at 500. They're exceeding expectations. They're a lot better than what they have been. And even though they've lost some teams that you thought they were supposed to beat, like Cleveland and maybe even Oklahoma City, this team has turned around. They've beaten Dallas, they've beaten Brooklyn, and they beat Brooklyn with Spencer. Then when he got hurt, they beat them with a healthy team for the most part. They've beaten Brooklyn, they've beaten Dallas, they've beaten New Orleans. So they've won their share of games. They also beat Atlanta twice, but they have won and beaten teams at that point. Fox missed a couple games, Mike. I think he missed like maybe 1 or 2 games with the injury. But what I'm saying is he's averaging around 30 minutes a game, 28 minutes a game, because he did start and play heavy minutes. Also in that game where Fox did get hurt, Halliburton played, I think, the entire second half. I think it gave him like 34, 35, maybe 36 minutes a night. So with a short sample size, when you play longer minutes than normal, that kind of raises numbers up. I think De'Aaron is back in the lineup, I want to say. All right, guys, like I said, the Toronto Raptors are tomorrow night's opponent, and the Raptors they're struggling. This is not the same Toronto Raptors team that we had seen the last couple of years. The Raptors are in a lot of transition, and what's hurting the Raptors is the fact that this isn't your normal Toronto Raptors team. Kyle Lowry isn't playing well. They miss Serge Ibaka, and they miss Marc Gasol. Pascal Siakam is not looking like the Pascal Siakam of old. And to be honest with you, the Raptors they're just a weird team this year. Even though they are scoring almost 112 points a game, it's just a weird way they're doing it. Van Fleet leads team in scoring. Siakam is not playing as well as they once were. One thing that has been an issue for Toronto is the fact that they're not scoring in the paint. They're struggling from the three-point line, and they're getting out-rebounded. That's been the issue. And the good news for Charlotte is that without having a 7-foot center or a big paint presence, maybe outside of Aaron Baines, this is a game where PJ Washington and the small ball lineup can work. This is a game that can go up and down in tempo. I think in Charlotte's case, the real question, the real key is Gordon Hayward in his health and availability. Because if Gordon is healthy and available tomorrow night, it changes things. If not, we're going to need somebody to pick up the scoring. Because if Devontae is going to have a normal Devontae night and Terry is not scoring 40 points, somebody is going to have to score. Now, Hornets fans, this could be the Malik Monk game. This could be the game that breaks Malik Monk out, that he could be needed if he is given the opportunity. This could be a Caleb Martin game. Somebody on this team has to step up if Gordon Hayward is not available to go. Somebody's going to have to contribute points. The one guy that can do it is Malik Monk, but can he do it is the question. If he's given the chance, can he do it? Hopefully this is a game where a kid like him who has so much confidence in his shot, this is the game where he's needed the most. I think this is a game that he's needed, and if he can pull through, Hornets, Malik Monk fans, this could be the game that can get him back in the rotation, especially if he goes lethal tomorrow night. So, all right. So with a back-to-back, there is no shoot-around tomorrow. A team was leaving tonight to head to Toronto, so there'll be no pregame with the players tomorrow at last check. And tomorrow there'll be a post-game presser, so check the three-point conversion on Facebook, and we will have all the things you have for Coach Borrego in pregame, because it is the second night of a back-to-back. Also check out the post-game show tomorrow night. It'll be after the Hornets post-game with the players and the coaches before they get ready for Saturday, the game on Saturday as well too. So follow me on Twitter at DannyDANNY number 3 Thompson on Twitter. Subscribe to the show here on Happs, and also sponsor. If you want to be a sponsor, by all means, even if it's 50 cents, us journalists, we do this for a living, and we appreciate the sponsorships. Also at the same time, I appreciate every person that stopped by, donated, whether it's 10 cents, $1. It's really, the beautiful part about it is everything is love. So like I said, subscribe, share, like, pass it on to your friends. We really appreciate it. We'll be back on the air tomorrow night. Check me out also on Beyond the Buzzer tomorrow night, 9 p.m. on Facebook Live. Myself and Kyle Nash will talk all things sports around the league. And then, like I said, we'll get ready for the Hornets post-game show tomorrow night. So I appreciate the love, Mike, Ethan, of course, Blitz as always. Did I miss anybody else in the chat? If I did, don't blame my heart, blame my head, because it's so many people stopping by. I said, once again, I do appreciate you guys. Once again, check me out on Twitter at DannyDANNY number 3 Thompson on Twitter, and check us out at the 3pointconversion.com. Myself, Mike Patton's also on the site as well too. So we appreciate all you guys' love and support. We'll check you guys tomorrow night. And like I said, Hey, good thing is that they don't have to. They have 24 hours to get this out their mind because Charlotte's got a good chance to win both these games this weekend. And if they get to 8-6, I don't think Hornets fans could have dreamed the 8-6 start before the nice break before Wednesday's game against Wednesday's game against Washington. I don't think they would have dreamed of 8-6 start the season. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow night. Have all fun. It's all love. Peace.